Welcome back to another episode of Thermal Mermaid. Today, I'm going to blend an unusual combination of oils to create a CBD massage oil and show you two recipes with a difference. One is made with arrowroot, while the other one is made of cornstarch. And we're using that as a thickener, so we're going to take a look at what arrowroot and cornstarch does in your moisturizer products, along with a discussion of some very interesting ingredients. If you are a member of the Thermal Mermaid Crafters community, you can find the link below this video, which will bring you directly to the members version of this video, along with the full recipe ready to be printed in both the CBD version in the CBD and hemp oil category, and also without the CBD in the lotions and butters category. So this can be made both ways, and the full instructions are ready to be explored. Now, this recipe is a whipped body melt, which means there is no water in this recipe. I've chosen mango butter to be the butter that really holds this recipe together. This is what gives us this thick consistency, and it allows us to get the whipped texture into the entire recipe. It has a hardness that's somewhere between cocoa butter and shea butter, and it works beautifully in this combination. Babassu oil is most comparable to coconut oil in its constitution. It has a very soft, velvety feel to it, and it does sit on the surface of your skin like a slick oil. So this is fantastic when we're choosing this to make a massage oil, because this is going to give us that slick when we rub it across our skin. Have you ever added emu oil into any of your moisturizers? Well, this is sure to spark curiosity in the label appeal from your customers, and they might start asking you questions about it. It has a composition that's very much close to olive oil, and we're not putting too much in here because it will have a drying effect, but it certainly is something that's known, at least anecdotally, as a pain relieving oil. Now, I did take the time to try to research this to see if there's any scientific evidence that this is ever used as a pain relief oil and that we can document this. In fact, not only can I not find any proof of this, I cannot find any studies where this has been done. So it doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that no one's taken the time to study it. Very common in Australia as a product that's marketed for pain relief. Hemp seed oil will give your product this green hue to it. Has the same constitution almost as a heavy oleic acid, so again, just like olive oil. And this is fantastic for branding a CBD product because the color will match the expectation of your customer. Next, we have 2 ounces of coconut oil, which is very stable. It also has a slick feel to it, which is fantastic for a massage oil, while at the same time it holds itself as a solid at temperatures below 72 degrees. So this also contributes to the stability in the whipped texture. Now, additionally, I have 2 ounces of arnica infused oil. Now, you can purchase arnica oil or you can create an infusion of your own. See the notes and instructions on this page below to create an infused oil, which will take 4 to 6 weeks. Arnica is known to heal bruising, and there is evidence for this, so those notes will be attached below. The arnica is typically suspended in a light seed oil, so if you do not want to add an infused oil into this recipe, then replace it with 4 ounces of hemp seed oil instead of 2. Now, you may be thinking, how do you blend the CBD isolate powder into a moisturizer like this? Because the CBD powder comes in the form of a powder, and we don't just throw it in the same way that you could dissolve, say, the goat's milk. That's also included in here. What we're going to do is, before we blend all of these things together, we're going to create a warm water bath with the hemp seed oil, and then allow for the CBD powder to dissolve into the hemp seed oil. CBD powder is oil soluble, so it'll blend right in. Once that's completely dissolved, then we're going to add that in to the mass portion that's already being whipped together. Now, the CBD formula, I typically have a standard amount of CBD that goes in per jar, usually 50 milligrams per ounce, sometimes 250 milligrams for about a 2.5 ounce, which is kind of pushing it a little bit higher. I judge this based on other products that are already out on the market on spa shelves locally. I will go into much greater detail about how to incorporate and dose the CBD isolate powder and different ways to incorporate it into your moisturizers in lesson 12.6 in the course. So you can stay tuned for that, and we'll get more information out there for you. And then separately place all of the other oils into a stand mixer and set the mixer on low. You're not going to melt the hard butters. Just place all the oils into the stand mixer as you've measured them out. Once the hard butters begin to come together, add the hemp seed oil with the CBD and allow this to whip into a creamy texture. Now you may decide that you want to incorporate a thickener into the recipe, and this is where our arrowroot or our cornstarch may come in. Both of these jars are exactly identical. The texture and the feel of the oils are the same. One jar is made with arrowroot powder and the other is made with cornstarch. Now these are both powders that act as a thickener and a fluffener, and although it works this way only slightly, most commonly it will be used to cut down on the greasy feel of a moisturizer. So if you've finished making a product and it feels like it leaves a greasy layer on your skin that goes on a bit longer than you wanted, you can add in some cornstarch or some arrowroot to dry that up a bit. In our case, we want our massage oil to be slick and almost greasy, so we're using just a little bit of this as a thickener and even slightly stabilize the whipped texture. Both of these powders are completely interchangeable, and you can add this in by dusting in just a teaspoon at a time into the mixing stand or into a bowl and just blend this down until it's a texture that you like. In this recipe, I only use 1.5 teaspoons, and it might be worth noting that many crafters will choose arrowroot over cornstarch for label appear. It sounds nicer to some people, but these can be completely interchanged in this recipe. Now, once these are all blended together and packaged, don't forget this is not a thick water-based body butter. You only take a tiny pea-sized amount, and as soon as this touches your skin, it's going to melt back down into a slippery oil, which is not going to soak in for a little while. Now, this is because of the oils that we've selected here. Not all whipped body melts will stay slick like a massage oil for a very long time, not like this one will. So if you want something that soaks in faster, then you want to think about replacing the babassu and the coconut oil with something like cocoa butter. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're interested in hair growth. Up next, we have a rosemary infused oil, and I'm going to show you the latest studies that prove that it does make your hair grow.